Men Guðs or Sterk is the third full-length album from HAMFERÐ. This is a Faroe Islands based melodic death doom metal band, and one that was maybe notably kind of in mention back in the early or the mid 2010s, that eventually put out a pretty strong and well received record back in 2017. And it has been, about 7 years since they released anything, so expectations are pretty high. They've made quite a reputation for themselves between their dramatic live shows, which are few and far between, and generally the very polished and impressive style of the band overall. They found their own unique, maybe particularly Scandinavian style of melodic doom over the years, and this third record does well to compound that effect by making it their own a little bit more. The first thing that you kind of get from this record as you approach it should be that there is more of an organic production value, and they've intentionally recorded this album in the same space and recorded it live without click tracks to make sure that you get an organic experience, which is not at all kind of recognizable if you're looking for errors or loose rhythms, because they're quite a strong band, and you can tell that they made sure that they didn't really fuck it up, as it were, on this recording. So there's the chemistry of the band is important, and that was what they captured here first and foremost. And I harp upon this because it's one of my favorite things that bands do, and it's rare that they get it right. Like Deathspell Omega and a few other bands have gotten it pretty well in the past, but in this case, these professional high fidelity production values erase some of that organic touch and make it more of a kind of a big post doom metal album. And overall, you'll find that it's more the tonal choices that they make that make it seem a little bit ragged and raw. Otherwise, this is obviously world class stuff on a large label. Anyway, we'll cut to a song here and get the general feeling of what this band is all about at this point. So while the theme of this album centers around tragedy, and a pretty brutal one at that, it's rare that we find a death doom metal band today that simply rests there in misery, and this album certainly doesn't. It finds the light in the dark eventually, but they do well to emphasize the dark side of things. And what I mean is that this record is very heavy to start. It's aggressive, more so than the long-winded style that we get from bands like Ahab or Swallow the Sun these days, where everything seems to get more and more progressive. HAMFERÐ is centered more around the song, and maybe a 5 to 6 minute funereal melodic death doom metal song, or even just a melodic doom metal song with post metal influences. They don't get too lost out at sea, so to speak, as they do just cut to the effect of the song, the emotion of the song. And these are connective songs, whether they're furious in turmoil or in pure lament. And I found this record did lean towards the lamenting melodic doom metal song more often, especially in the center of the experience. And that, for me, that droned on quite a bit as more of a death metal fan. I was here more for the juxtaposition of those forms. And on Thompson's Licum, it felt more severe and raw and aggressive, whereas this record takes its time in transitioning from the more slick, clean sung parts, which are quite dramatic and emotionally driven, to the fewer and further between death doom metal parts, which are, I would say, more and more effective with each release. If you're a fan of a band like Saturnus, this band is not really about the hook. They don't really lead in that October Tide-esque style where the lead guitars carry you through. It's more about the push of the aggressive sound of everything that keeps it moving. So with few and further between aggressive pieces, I found this record was one to be patient with. And the opener kind of gets you excited to go in. The second song starts to temper things down. And then there's about 3 or 4 songs that really take it easy. And so for me, that took a little bit of an induction. And I found myself looking forward to Havul Ja, however you pronounce that song. I look forward to that song because it was the most aggressive. It was kind of the peak, the spire, the thing to head towards with the crux of the album. And while I was impatient To start, I appreciated that dynamic overall. And it felt like it was crafted with purpose, and it helped in conveying a narrative was there, and there is more to look into. They have translated the lyrics and provided those, so there's a lot more depth here beyond dynamics and subgenre notes here. But ultimately, this is a record that I think most melodic death doom metal fans will appreciate, not only for its the professional oeuvre and the strong expression available to the band, but just for the experience overall. I think it makes quite a lot of sense without over churning its result. For me, this was a general high recommendation. I think that I've long been a fan of this band, but I didn't really know where they needed to take it beyond the last record, and this was a pretty solid follow-up. I really appreciated the organic production values, like I said. I really appreciated the theme, kind of restating the purpose and the feeling of the band and what they were trying to convey. And I appreciated that they leaned into the darker side of things enough to where it felt like a proper doom metal album, a proper melodic death doom metal album, and not really kind of pandering in any other direction than their own directive. I appreciated this band has their own personality and style, which is recognizable in a niche, but also their own take upon it. So pretty good third album. I think it does well to distinguish itself from their past discography, while sounding like a modern album otherwise. So go ahead and check out a couple of these songs and read the review and see if this is your kind of thing.